I was standing on a block of white pavement in Tel Aviv, looking right past the rush of cars surging by, trying to make out those extraordinary figures that I saw from a distance. I knew something was out of place. I took a few steps closer. I looked to my left, I looked to my right, and I was taken aback. There were white tents everywhere. 500,000 people, almost 10% of the entire Israeli population, covered the Tel Aviv landscape. It all started when Daphne Leaf, a young film editor, was told that her rent would be raised dramatically by 50%. In response, she posted on Facebook that she was making a tent on Rothschild Boulevard, an avenue in the heart of Israel's metropolis, Tel Aviv. It was not clear what the protest was about or what it was there to accomplish. I learned later that the cost of living was a big part of it because many Israelis struggle to get by on a daily basis. The rally spread to over 80 cities where different camps came together, which gave off the feeling of a unified movement. Those camping on Rothschild Square were considered more upper class, and when the protests originally began, they were met by lower class protesters who were chastising them because they were the people without homes. They claimed, "Who are you to be the face of this protest? We've been struggling our whole lives." This opened the eyes of the more upper class protesters and signified a turning point in the movement. It was now a campaign for social justice. Their slogan evolved into Ha'am Doresh Tzedek Chavrati. The people demand social justice. Interestingly enough, they used the word Ha'am, the nation. Thousands of tents were pitched in front of me. Banners, posters, and flags with vibrant colors waved in front of me. The mix of voices from different walks of life fused together into one, filling the streets with fervor and devotion. I stood there in that moment with all five senses alert to take it all in. I felt as though the earth beneath me was vibrating, and I felt encapsulated by the energy. I felt an inexplicable connection to the people, and the world around me had stopped completely. My feet were glued to the pavement, paralyzed, as I felt each hair rise, goosebumps filling my body. I was witnessing something amazing, rare, and raw. I felt a part of something bigger than life, a powerful movement gathering together the scattered pieces of our nation into a beautiful mosaic. People had stripped their hard shells and let go. They joined together in the fight for social justice, despite their religious or political affiliations. As a result of the protest, people around Israel discovered each other. Israel is a country with many bubbles. There's the upper class in Tel Aviv, the settlers in West Bank, the ultra-Orthodox, the lower class from North Africa. There are even separate school systems for different populations. The protest broke down these barriers and helped to burst these bubbles. Ha'am Doresh Tzedek Chavrati. The fact that people came out of their apartments and shared their concerns raised awareness of the real issues at hand. They had potluck dinners, which brought a sense of community and togetherness. At any point of the night, there were people talking about the future who would not normally do so. The social protest did not put the blame on one bubble. The protest even started later at night so that the Orthodox could join in after evening prayers. It shows us that Israeli society can redefine itself and not just judge others based on their labels. The protesters finally began to understand one another for who they are. Ha'am Doresh, the whole nation. Knowledge is gained by allowing ourselves to view the world from different perspectives. In the same way, change in society can come from the unexpected places where people realize that nothing is stopping them but themselves. The tents were a metaphor. People left their houses, but they found their homes. We need to open ourselves and discover each other, the Am. Seeing that large-scale Israeli society could break down these barriers inspired me to carry this through to my own life. How could I find an opportunity to break barriers that prevent us from seeing other members of our Am for who they are? I hoped for another chance to work on this mission. I got it 9 months later. A tie-dye kippah was pinned to her head. Purple, pink, blue, and yellow, all intertwined into one. I fixated my eyes on that kippah as she walked up to the Torah. Just as each color was distinct, so were we. It was the women's mincha service during Hazimir, which consisted of non-affiliated, reformed, conservative, and traditional Jewish women. I thought back to my experience with the tents, and I thought back to my mission. The beautiful mix of female vocals filled the room as the prayers began. Talit, kippot, short skirts, long skirts, and pants, both Americans and Israelis. Tears began to fill my eyes as we prayed together. I didn't want to cry, so I held it in as best I could. But I knew that at this moment, I was taking one step toward fulfilling my mission, encountering all of those in the Am. This experience definitely opened the eyes of everyone in the service. It warmed my heart that they could all see that if we just go a little bit out of our way to come together, step by step, we can make a significant difference in our nation and consequently in the world.